I want to change the way that you have sex. Now, hear me out for a second. If you answer yes to this question, then this video is obviously not for you. Are you satisfied with your sex life, with your sexual performance, with the way that you have sex? And question number two, is your partner satisfied? Is your partner happy with it? If you answer no to any one of those two questions, then this video is for you. And I want to explain this. Why do I want to change the way that you have sex? I believe, and this is not only a pure observation of mine, but it's empirical observation from just working with so many men. The way that we've always viewed sex, the way that we've always viewed how to have sex and how the act is performed, I believe we got from pornography. I believe that that's the default mindset, the default image, the default mode that we go into every time that we think about sex or every time that we want to perform it. And I'll say this because many people don't really understand this concept. A lot of the times that we have sex, we do so completely unconsciously, meaning we are unconsciously trying to recreate these scenes that we've seen before because it's what we model ourselves after. We mirror everything as human beings. There's a law about this, a principle about this, excuse me. And the truth is, if we continue to try to recreate these scenes, whether consciously or unconsciously, this is when problems begin. What I try to tell the men that I work with is change the way you have sex and you'll get better results. So how do you do that? How do we begin reprogramming the mind from having the way from doing sex or performing sex the way that we've seen it online to doing something completely different? Well, obviously that takes time. Obviously it takes, you have to map out some sort of blueprint to allow yourself to do something differently. Now keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. And I know many men have heard out there in different workshops or by different gurus that there's different positions that make your partner orgasm. There's different movements that create this, and yes, there's a lot of science behind that, and that's true. But I want you to understand one thing. What if you focused more on creating comfort, on creating intimacy, on creating a connection with you and your partner? I want you to just think about this and you can verify this for yourself. What if you focused on that? Wouldn't that make wouldn't that make the act of providing pleasure much easier than trying to do so mechanically, than trying to do so in different positions and almost in some aspect forcing it? A lot of the truth is, right, these workshops and the gurus, they make it look effortlessly, and bravo to them. What I want you to understand is that when we have this mindset of like this position or like this technique to do, we completely disregard the other person that's involved in this act. And that's when things get complicated. And to add on top of that, again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to recreate these porn scenes. We're trying to recreate these theatrics, and sexual energy is just way too volatile for us to actually control it in the act. And I know what some men are going to say, well, what if my partner wants me to dominate her? What if my partner wants me to do these things to her, right? I would say, yeah, that's viable. You know, there's moments during intimacy where it's not just all calm and relaxed. There's a moment of intense passion and desire, but most men don't know how to control that. So would I advise that? No. I'm not saying to disregard what your partner wants, but what you essentially want to do is gradually get there. If you try to do that from the get-go, you're going to finish early every single time. And then what's worse? Having an unsatisfactory partner and then eventually that leading to problems in the relationship, or taking things gradual. One of the things that we want to do is really just look at how we have sex, right? As I've been mentioning this whole video, and having the conversation with our partners kind of It actually came to me right now. One of the things that porn teaches men is that we have to be dominant, right? There's this like masculine aura about a porn star that he's dominating in his partner, and just this is how you make her scream, and this is how you make her orgasm. This is like that is the farthest thing from the truth. So men try to take this position and then they don't last long. And then they have performance anxiety because maybe they don't know how to perform that well. They don't have the skills to do that. And then maybe their partner wants them to do these different things and they don't, it's too much for them. This has to be eliminated. This has to go completely. Sex is a mutual interchanging of energy, of intimacy, and there's moments where the woman is taking charge, there's moments when the man is taking charge, there's moments where there's just a mutual there's a tacit exchange of just like we're both going to be um exchanging, right? What I want you to understand is this: porn has lied to us completely. I don't think that sex is all about dominating our partner. I don't think that's how we actually satisfy our partners. I think if we focus more on bonding, if we focus more on creating intimacy, if we focus more on communicating needs, this would be so much more. You would have so much more success in your sex lives, and it wouldn't be there wouldn't be any anxiety around it. It would be like, okay, this is almost and I apologize if this sounds very spiritual, but it almost seems like a ceremony. It almost seems like there's a union between these two people. The two become one during sex. There is no man imposing his will or woman imposing her will, because then there's just this harmony. As soon as the both of you have this mutual tacit agreement that this is what it's going to look like, and I'm sure your partner's going to like this more than the porn star theatrics that you have recreated in your mind of what sex looks like. Once you change this mode, once you change this perspective, everything changes. So those are just some thoughts. um I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Should should we change the way that we have sex, right? I mean, what if another big thing, if we focus more on creating bonds and creating intimacy rather than trying to perform so much, I personally, and I say this with utter confidence, divorce rates would go down, they would decrease. And I'm speaking from having so many men tell me, if my sex life was better, I could manage everything else in my life, the finances, maybe the kids, maybe the stress about work, I would manage that. And even the relationship issues, we can manage that if our sex life was better. And again, if we're focusing on just how do I cause her to orgasm, how can I pleasure her the most, we are moving away from the actual the actual goal that sex, or the actual meaning behind sex, the actual importance behind it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you so much. Like, share, and I want to change the way that you have sex, and I will change the way that I don't know if I want to change the way that you I don't know if I want to change the way that you have sex, but I just want to open you to a different perspective.